Flowisdom presents How to Talk to Anyone by Leil Lowndes. Book summary.
How to Talk to Anyone. Overview. This is a book summary of Leil Lowndes' How to Talk to Anyone. 92 Little Tricks for Big Success in Relationships. Author Leil Lowndes gives 92 tricks to become a better conversationalist and improve your social relationships. From body language tricks and words to say to telephone techniques and social tactics, it's all in Lowndes' How to Talk to Anyone. The 92 tips are spread throughout the following 9 parts. 1. How to intrigue everyone without saying a word. You only have 10 seconds to show you're a somebody. 2. How to know what you say after hi. 3. How to talk like a VIP. 4. How to be an insider in any crowd. What are they all talking about? 5. How to sound like you're a peas in a pod. Why we're just alike. 6. How to differentiate the power of praise from the folly of flattery. 7. How to direct dial their hearts. 8. How to work a party like a politician works a room. The politician's 6-point party checklist. 9. How to break the most treacherous glass ceiling of all. Sometimes people are tigers. As you can tell from the 9 parts above, the book is pretty irresistible. Of course, a few of the 92 tricks won't revolutionize your life, but even if you are a great conversationalist, you are bound to discover a few techniques to throw in your communication bag of tricks. Little techniques like the big baby pivot, little strokes, and swiveling spotlight add up to make you a conversationalist who can talk to anyone. If you don't know what to say in a conversation or you generally struggle to talk to strangers, How to Talk to Anyone is bound to save you from drowning in conversations. How to intrigue everyone without saying a word. You only have 10 seconds to show you're a somebody. Part 1. Whenever people meet you, they take an instant mental snapshot. The way you look and the way you move is more than 80% of someone's first impression of you. Give them great posture, a heads-up look, a confident smile, and a direct gaze. How to make your smile magically different. Technique: the flooding smile. Don't flash an immediate smile when you greet someone, as though anyone who walked into your line of sight would be the beneficiary. Instead, look at the other person's face for a second. Pause. Soak in their persona. Then let a big, warm, responsive smile flood over your face and overview into your eyes. It will engulf the recipient like a warm wave. The split-second delay convinces people your flooding smile is genuine and only for them. A big, warm smile is an asset, but only when it comes a little slower, because then it has more credibility. It's more sincere and personalized for the recipient. How to strike everyone as intelligent and insightful by using your eyes. Technique: sticky eyes. Pretend your eyes are glued to your conversation partners with sticky warm taffy. Don't break eye contact even after he or she has finished speaking. When you must look away, do it ever so slowly, reluctantly, stretching the gooey taffy until the tiny string finally breaks. In a case study, the subjects reported significantly higher feelings of respect and fondness for their colleagues who had been counting their blinks. How to use your eyes to make someone fall in love with you. Technique: epoxy eyes. This brazen technique packs a powerful punch. Watch your target person even when someone else is talking. No matter who is speaking, keep looking at the man or woman you want to impact. It says, "I can't take my eyes off you," or "I only have eyes for you." Concentrate on the listener, your target, rather than the speaker. You are extremely interested in his or her reactions. How to win their heart by responding to their inner infant. Technique: the big baby pivot. Give everyone you meet the big baby pivot. The instant the two of you are introduced, reward your new acquaintance. Give the warm smile, the total body turn, and the undivided attention you would give a tiny tyke who crawled up to your feet, turned a precious face up to yours, and beamed a big toothless grin. Pivoting 100% towards the new person shouts, "I think you are very, very special." Part 1. How to make someone feel like an old friend at once. Technique: hello old friend. When meeting someone, Imagine he or she is an old friend, an old customer, an old beloved, or someone else you had great affection for. How sad, the vicissitudes of life tore you two asunder. But holy mackerel, now the party, the meeting, the convention, has reunited you with your long-lost old friend. The joyful experience starts a remarkable chain reaction in your body, from the subconscious softening of your eyebrows to the positioning of your toes, and everything between. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them. Whenever you're traveling in countries where you don't speak the native tongue, be sure to use the hello old friend technique. When you act as though you like someone, you start to like them. How to come across as 100 credible to everyone. Technique: limit the fidget. Whenever your conversation counts, let your nose itch, your ear tingle, or your foot prickle. Do not fidget, twitch, wiggle, squirm, or scratch. And above all, keep your paws away from your puss. Hand motions near your face and all fidgeting can give your listener the gut feeling you're fibbing. Fidgety movements give listeners the sense something just isn't right. Professional communicators squelch any signs anyone could mistake for shiftiness. They fix a constant gaze on the listener. They never put their hands on their faces. They don't massage their arm when it tingles or rubs their nose when it itches. They don't loosen their collar when it's hot or blink because it's sandy. They don't wipe away tiny perspiration beads in public or shield their eyes from the sun. How to read people like you have ESP. Technique: hands horse sense. Make it a habit to get on a dual track while talking. Express yourself, but keep a keen eye on how your listener is reacting to what you're saying. Then plan your moves accordingly. If a horse can do it, so can a human. People will say you pick up on everything. You never miss a trick. You've got horse sense. How to make sure you don't miss a single beat. Technique: watch the scene before you make the scene. Rehearse being the super somebody you want to be ahead of time. See yourself walking around with hang by your teeth posture, shaking hands, smiling the flooding smile, and making sticky eyes. Hear yourself chatting comfortably with everyone. Feel the pleasure of knowing you are in peak form and everyone is gravitating towards you. Visualize yourself a super somebody. Then it all happens automatically. How to know what to say after you say hi. Part 2. The brighter the individual, the more he or she detests small talk. How to start great small talk. Technique: make a mood match. Before opening your mouth, take a voice sample of your listener to detect his or her state of mind. Take a psychic photograph of the expression to see if your listener looks buoyant, bored, or blitzed. If you ever want to bring people around to your thoughts, you must match their mood and voice tone, if only for a moment. Small talk is not about facts. Small talk is about putting people at ease. You must first match your listener's mood. Top communicators pick up on their listener's tone of voice and duplicate it. Every mother knows this instinctively. To quiet a whimpering infant, Mama doesn't just shake her finger and shout, "Quiet down." No, Mama picks the baby up. Mama cries, "Ooh, ooh, ooh," sympathetically matching baby's misery for a few moments. Mama then gradually transitions the two of them into hush-hush happy sounds. Your listeners are all big babies. How to sound like you've got a super personality, no matter what you're saying. Technique: prosaic with passion. Worries about your first words? Fear not, because 80% of your listener's impression has nothing to do with your words anyway. Almost anything you say at first is fine. No matter how prosaic the text, an empathetic mood, a positive demeanor, and passionate delivery make you sound exciting. Almost anything you say is okay, as long as it puts people at ease and sounds passionate. How do you put people at ease? By convincing them they are okay and that the two of you are similar. How to make people want to start a conversation with you. Technique: always wear a what's-it. Whenever you go to a gathering, wear or carry something unusual to give people who find you the delightful stranger across the crowded room an excuse to approach. "Excuse me, I couldn't help notice your..." What is that? Your business cards and your what's it are crucial socializing artifacts. How to meet the people you want to meet. Technique, who's it? Who's that is the most effective, least used by non-politicians. Meeting people device ever contrived. Simply ask the party giver to make the introduction or pump for a few facts that you can immediately turn into icebreakers. Part 2. How to break into a tight crowd. Technique, eavesdrop in. No what's it? No host for who's it? No problem. Just sidle up behind the swarm of folks you want to infiltrate and open your ears. Wait for any flimsy excuse and jump in with "Excuse me, I couldn't help but overhear." Will they be taken aback? Momentarily. Will they get over it? Momentarily. Will you be in the conversation? Absolutely. How to make "Where are you from?" sound exciting. Technique, never the naked city. Whenever someone asks you the inevitable, "And where are you from?" never, ever, unfairly challenge their powers of imagination with a one-word answer. Learn some engaging facts about your hometown that conversational partners can comment on. Then, when they say something clever in response to your bait, they think you're a great conversationalist. Your hook should relate to the type of person you're speaking with. No man would listen to you talk if he didn't know it was his turn next. How to come out a winner every time they ask, "And what do you do?" Technique, never the naked job. When asked the inevitable, "And what do you do?" you may think, "I'm an economist / an educator / an engineer," is giving enough information to engender good conversation. However, to one who is not an economist, educator, or an engineer, you might as well be saying, "I'm a paleontologist / psychoanalyst / pornographer." Flesh it out. Throw out some delicious facts about your job for new acquaintances to munch on. Otherwise, they'll soon excuse themselves, preferring the snacks back at the cheese tray. How to introduce people like the hostess, with the mostest. Technique, never the naked introduction. When introducing people, don't throw out an unbaited hook and stand there grinning like a big calm, leaving the newlyweds to flutter their fins and fish for a topic. Bait the conversational hook to get them in the swim of things. Then you're free to stay or float on to the next networking opportunity. Help newlyweds through their first nervous moments. Mention their hobby or even talent. Part 2. How to resuscitate a dying conversation. Technique, be a word detective. Like a good gumshoe, listen to your conversation partner's every word for clues to his or her preferred topic. The evidence is bound to slip out. Then spring on that subject like a sleuth onto a slip of the tongue. Like Sherlock Holmes, you have the clue to the subject that's hot for the other person. How to enthrall them with your choice of topic. Them. Technique, the swiveling spotlight. When you meet someone, imagine a giant revolving spotlight between you. When you're talking, the spotlight is on you. When the new person is speaking, it's shining on him or her. If you shine it brightly enough, the stranger will be blinded to the fact that you have hardly said a word about yourself. The longer you keep shining away from you, the more interesting he or she finds you. When I meet someone, I learn so much more if I ask about their life. Grow more by listening than talking. How to never need to wonder, "What do I say next?" Technique, parroting, never be left speechless again. Like a parrot, simply repeat the last few words your conversation partner says. That puts the ball right back in his or her court, and then all you need to do is listen. How to get them happily chatting, so you can slip away if you want to. Technique, encore. The sweetest sound a performer can hear welling up out of the applause is encore. Encore. Let's hear it again. The sweetest sound your conversation partner can hear from your lips when you're talking with a group of people is tell them about the time you. Whenever you're at a meeting or party with someone important to you, think of some stories he or she told you. Choose an appropriate one from their repertoire that the crowd will enjoy. Then shine the spotlight by requesting a repeat performance. Make sure the story you request is one in which the teller shines. How to come across as a positive person. Technique, accentuate the positive. When first meeting someone, lock your closet door and save your skeletons for later. You and your new good friend can invite the skeletons out, have a good laugh, and dance over their bones later in the relationship. But now's the time, as the old song says, to accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. How to talk like a VIP. Part 3. 85% of one's success in life is directly due to communication skills. How to find out what they do, without even asking. Technique. What do you do now? A sure sign you're a somebody is the conspicuous absence of the question. What do you do? You determine this, of course, but not with those 4 dirty words that label you as either a ruthless networker, a social climber, a gold-digging husband or wife hunter, or someone who's never strolled along Easy Street. Big cats never ask outright. What do you do? Oh, they find out, all right, in a much more subtle manner. By not asking the question, one comes across as more principled, even spiritual. How do you spend most of your time? Is a gracious way to ask. How to know what to say when they ask, what do you do? Technique, the nutshell resume. Just as job-seeking top managers roll a different written resume off their printers for each position they're applying for, let a different true story about your professional life roll off your tongue for each listener. Before responding to what do you do, ask yourself, what possible interest could this person have in my answer? Could he refer business to me, buy from me, hire me, marry my sister, become my buddy? Wherever you go, pack a nutshell about your own life to work into your communications bag of tricks. My friend Roberto was out of work last year. He applied for 2 positions: a sales manager of an ice cream company and head of strategic planning for a fast food chain. He did extensive research and found the ice cream company had deep sales difficulties and the food chain had long-range international aspirations. Did he send the same resume to each? Not. His resume never deviated 1 iota from the truth of his background. However, for the ice cream company, he highlighted his experience turning a small company around by doubling its sales in 3 years. For the food chain, he underscored his experience working in Europe and his knowledge of foreign markets. Both firms offered Roberto the job. Now he could play them off against each other. He went to each, explaining he'd like to work for them, but another firm was offering a higher salary or more perks. The 2 firms started bidding against each other for Roberto. He finally chose the food chain at almost double the salary they originally offered him. Ask yourself, how could my professional experience benefit this person's life? When meeting a potential friend or loved one, make your life sound like you will be a fun person to know. Part 3. How to sound even smarter than you are. Technique, your personal thesaurus. Look up some common words you use every day in the thesaurus. Then, like slipping your feet into a new pair of shoes, slip your tongue into a few new words to see how they fit. If you like them, start making permanent replacements. Remember, only 50 words makes the difference between a rich, creative vocabulary and an average, middle-of-the-road one. Substitute a word a day for 2 months, and you'll be in the verbally elite. Think of a few tired, overworked words you use every day. Words like smart, nice, pretty, or good. Then grab a thesaurus. How to not sound anxious. Let them discover your similarity. Technique, kill the quick, me too. Whenever you have something in common with someone, the longer you wait to reveal it, the more moved and impressed he or she will be. You emerge as a confident big cat, not a lonely little stray, hungry for quick connection with a stranger. P.S. Don't wait too long to reveal your shared interest, or it will seem like you're being tricky. You don't want to sound anxious to have rapport. Instead of jumping in with, "Hey, me too," let your conversation partner enjoy talking about it. When someone starts telling you about an activity he has done, a trip she has made, a club he belongs to, an interest she has, anything that you share, bite your tongue. How to be a you firstie to gain their respect and affection. Technique, communication. Start every appropriate sentence with you. It immediately grabs your listener's attention. It gets a more positive response because it pushes the pride button and saves them having to translate it into me terms. When you sprinkle you as liberally as salt and pepper throughout your conversation, your listeners find it an irresistible spice. Suppose you said, "Jill, you will love this new Indian restaurant. Will you join me there this evening for dinner?" Phrasing it that way, you've already subliminally answered Jill's questions, and she's more apt to give you a quick yes. Part 3. How to make them feel you don't smile at just anybody. Technique: the exclusive smile. If you flash everybody the same smile, like a Confederate dollar, it loses value. When meeting groups of people, grace each with a distinct smile. Let your smiles grow out of the beautiful big players to find in each new face. If one person in a group is more important to you than the others, reserve an especially big flooding smile just for him or her. Have you ever seen those low-budget, mail-order fashion catalogs that use the same model throughout? Whether she is engulfed in a wedding gown or partially clad in a bikini, her face sports the same plastic smile. Looking at her, you get the feeling if you rapped on her forehead, a tiny voice would come back saying, "Nobody's in here." Whereas models in more sophisticated magazines have mastered a myriad of different expressions. A flirtatious, "I've got a secret" smile on one page, a quizzical, "I think I'd like to get to know you, but I'm not sure" smile on next, and a mysterious Mona Lisa smile on the third. You feel there's a brain running the operation somewhere inside that beautiful head. How to avoid sounding like a jerk. Technique: don't touch a cliché with a 10-foot pole. Be on guard. Don't use any clichés when chatting with big winners. Don't even touch one with a 10-foot pole. Never? Not even when hell freezes over? Not unless you want to sound dumb as a doorknob. Instead of coughing up a cliché, roll your clever phrases by using the next technique. How to use motivational speakers technique to enhance your conversation. Technique: use Joe Smith's jive. Whether you're standing behind a podium facing thousands or behind the barbecue grill facing your family, you'll move, amuse, and motivate with the same skills. Read speakers' books to cull quotations, pull pearls of wisdom, and get gems to tickle their funny bones. Find a few bon mots to let casually slide off your tongue on chosen occasions. If you want to be notable, dream up a crazy quotable. Make 'em rhyme, make 'em clever, or make 'em funny. Above all, make 'em relevant. How to banter like the big shots do. Big winners tell it like it is. Technique: call a spade a spade. Don't hide behind euphemisms. Call a spade a spade. That doesn't mean big cats use tasteless 4-letter words when perfectly decent 5- and 6-letter ones exist. They've simply learned the king's English, and they speak it. Here's another way to tell the big players from the little ones just by listening to a few minutes of their conversation. Big cats aren't afraid of real words. If somebody is rich, big cats call it rich. Little cats substitute the word wealthy. How to avoid the world's worst conversational habits. Technique: trash the teasing. A dead giveaway of a little cat is his or her proclivity to tease. An innocent joke at someone else's expense may get you a cheap laugh. Nevertheless, the big cats will have the last one, because you will bang your head against the glass ceiling they construct to keep little cats from stepping on their paws. Never, ever make a joke at anyone else's expense. You'll wind up paying for it dearly. Part 3. How to give them the bad news and have them like you all the more. Technique: it's the receiver's ball. A football player wouldn't last 2 beats of the time clock if he made blind passes. A pro throws the ball with the receiver always in mind. Before throwing out any news, keep your receiver in mind. Then deliver it with a smile, a sigh, or a sob. Not according to how you feel about the news, but how the receiver will take it. How to respond when you don't want to answer and wish they'd shut the heck up. Technique: the broken record. Whenever someone persists in questioning you on an unwelcome subject, simply repeat your original response. Use precisely the same words in precisely the same tone of voice. Hearing it again, usually quiets them down. If your rude interrogator hangs on like a leech, your next repetition never fails to flick them off. How to talk to a celebrity. Technique. Big shots don't slobber. People who are VIPs in their own right don't slobber over celebrities. When you are chatting with one, don't compliment her work, simply say how much pleasure or insight it's given to you. If you do single out any one of the star's accomplishments, make sure it's a recent one, not a memory that's getting yellow in her scrapbook. If the queen bee has a drone sitting with her, find a way to involve him in the conversation. How to make them want to thank you. Technique. Never the naked thank you. Never let the phrase thank you stand alone. From A to Z, always follow it with 4. From thank you for asking to thank you for zipping me up. How to be an insider in any crowd. Part 4. How to be a modern-day Renaissance man or woman. Technique. Scramble therapy. Once a month, scramble your life. Do something you'd never dream of doing. Participate in a sport, go to an exhibition, hear a lecture on something totally out of your experience. You get 80% of the right lingo and insider questions from just one exposure. How to sound like you know all about their job or hobby. Technique. Learn a little gobbledygook. Big winners speak gobbledygook as a second language. What is gobbledygook? It's the language of other professions. Why speak it? It makes you sound like an insider. How do you learn it? You'll find no gobbledygook cassettes in the language section of your bookstore, but the lingo is easy to pick up. Simply ask a friend who speaks the lingo of the crowd you'll be with to teach you a few opening questions. The words are few and the rewards are manifold. How to bear their hot button. Elementary doc talk. Technique. Bearing their hot button. Before jumping blindly into a bevy of book vendors or a drove of dentists, find out what the hot issues are in their fields. Every industry has burning concerns the outside world knows little about. Ask your informant to bear the industry buzz. Then, to heat the conversation, push those buttons. Part 4. How to secretly learn about their lives. Technique. Read their rags. Is your next big client a golfer, runner, swimmer, surfer, or skier? Are you attending a social function filled with accountants or Zen Buddhists, or anything in between? There are untold thousands of monthly magazines serving every imaginable interest. You can dish up more information than you'll ever need to sound like an insider with anyone just by reading the rags that serve their racket. Have you read your latest copy of Zoo News yet? How to talk when you're in other countries. Technique. Clear customs. Before putting one toe on foreign soil, get a book on do's and taboos around the world. Before you shake hands, give a gift, make gestures, or even compliment anyone's possessions, check it out. Your gaffe could gum up your entire gig. How to talk them into getting the insider's price on practically anything you buy. Technique. Bluffing for bargains. The haggling skills used in ancient Arab markets are alive and well in contemporary America for big-ticket items. Your price is much lower when you know how to deal. Before every big purchase, find several vendors, a few to learn from and one to buy from. Armed with a few words of industries, you're ready to head for the store where you're going to buy. How to sound like your peas in a pod. Part 5. How to make them feel you're of the same class. Technique. Be a copy class. Watch people. Look at the way they move. Small movements, big movements, fast, slow, jerky, fluid, old, young, classy, trashy. Pretend the person you are talking to is your dance instructor. Is he a jazzy mover? Is she a balletic mover? Watch his or her body, then imitate the style of movement. That makes your conversation partner subliminally real comfy with you. How to make them feel that you're like family. Technique. Echoing. Echoing is a simple linguistic technique that packs a powerful wallop. Listen to the speaker's arbitrary choice of nouns, verbs, prepositions, adjectives, and echo them back. Hearing their words come out of your mouth creates subliminal rapport. It makes them feel you share their values, their attitudes, their interests, their experiences. Use their words, not yours. How to really make it clear to them. Technique: potent imaging. Does your customer have a garden? Talk about sowing the seeds for success. Does your boss own a boat? Tell him or her about a concept that will hold water or stay afloat. Maybe he is a private pilot. Talk about a concept really taking off. Does she play tennis? Tell her it hits the sweet spot. Evoke your listener's interests or lifestyle and weave images around it. To give your points more power and punch, use analogies from your listener's world, not your own. Potent imaging also tells your listeners you think like them and hints you share their interests. Part 5. How to make them feel you empathize without just saying, yep, yeah. Technique: employed empathizers. Don't be an unconscious bummer. Vocalize complete sentences to show your understanding. Dust your dialogue with phrases like, I see what you mean. Sprinkle it with sentimental sparkles like, that's a lovely thing to say. Your empathy impresses your listeners and encourages them to continue. How to make them think you see/hear/feel it just the way they do. Technique: anatomically correct empathizers. What part of their anatomy are your associates talking through? Their eyes, their ears, their gut. For visual people, use visual empathizers to make them think you see the world the way they do. For auditory folks, use auditory empathizers to make them think you hear them loud and clear. For kinesthetic types, use kinesthetic empathizers to make them think you feel the same way they do. Suppose a business colleague describing a financial plan says, with this plan, we can see out way clear in 6 months. Since this time, she's using primary visual references. Say, I see what you mean, or you have a clear picture of that situation. If, instead, your colleague had said, this plan has a good ring to it, you'd substitute auditory empathizers like, it does sound great, or I hear you. A third possibility. Suppose she had said, I have a gut feeling this plan will work. Now you give her a kinesthetic empathizer like, I can understand how you feel, or you have a good grasp of that problem. How to make M think we, instead of you versus me. Technique: the premature we. Create the sensation of intimacy with someone even if you've met just moments before. Scramble the signals in their psyche by skipping conversational levels 1 and 2 and cutting right to level 3 and 4. Elicit intimate feelings by using the magic words we, us, and ours. Use the word we prematurely. At a party, you might say to someone standing behind you ate the buffet line, hey, this looks great. They laid out a nice spread for us. Or, uh-oh, we're going to get fat if we let ourselves enjoy all of this. How to create a friendly private joke with them. Technique: instant history. When you meet a stranger you'd like to make less a stranger, search for some special moment you shared during your first encounter. Then find a few words that reprieve the laugh, the warm smile, the good feelings the two of you felt. Now, just like old friends, you have a history together, an instant history. With anyone you'd like to take part in your personal or professional future, look for special moments together. Then, make them a refrain. How to differentiate the power of praise from the folly of flattery. Part 6. Mind-boggling, isn't it? Sociologists' research shows 1. A compliment from a new person is more potent than from someone you already know. 2. Your compliment has more credibility when given to an unattractive person or an attractive person whose face you've never seen. 3. You are taken more seriously if you preface your comments by some self-effacing remark, but only if your listener perceives you as higher on the totem pole. If you're lower, your self-effacing remark reduces your credibility. How to compliment someone without sounding like you're brown-nosing. Technique: grapevine glory. A compliment one hears is never as exciting as the one he overhears. A priceless way to praise is not by telephone, not by telegraph, but by tell a friend. This way you escape possible suspicion that you are an apple-polishing, bootlicking, egg-sucking, back-scratching sycophant trying to win brownie points. You also leave recipients with the happy fantasy that you are telling the whole world about their greatness. How to be a carrier pigeon of good feelings. Technique: carrier pigeon kudos. People immediately grow a beak and metamorphose themselves into carrier pigeons when there's bad news. It's called gossip. Instead, become a carrier of good news and kudos. Whenever you hear something complimentary about someone, fly to them with the compliment. Your fans may not posthumously stuff you and put you on display in a museum like Stumpy Joe, but everyone loves the carrier pigeon of kind thoughts. How to make M feel your admiration just slipped out. Technique: implied magnificence. Throw a few comments into your conversation that presuppose something positive about the person you're talking with. But be careful. Don't blow it like the well-intentioned maintenance man, or the southern boy who, at the prom, he was flattering his date when he told her, "Gosh, Mary Lou, for a fat gal, you dance real good." How to win their ears by being an undercover complimenter. Technique: accidental adulation. Become an undercover complimenter. Stealthily sneak praise into the parenthetical part of your sentence. Just don't try to quiz anyone later on your main point. The joyful jolt of your accidental adulation strikes them temporarily deaf to anything that follows. Part 6. How to make M never forget you with a killer compliment. Technique: killer compliment. Whenever you are talking with a stranger you'd like to take part in your professional or personal future, search for one attractive, specific, and unique quality he or she has. At the end of the conversation, look the individual right in the eye. Say his or her name and proceed to curl all 10 toes with a killer compliment. A killer compliment is more like "what exquisite eyes you have," very specific, or "you have a wonderful air of honesty about you," very personal. How to make M smile with itty-bitty boosters. Technique: little strokes. Don't make your colleagues, your friends, your loved ones look at you and silently say, "Haven't I been pretty good today?" Let them know how much you appreciate them by caressing them with verbal little strokes like "nice job," "well done," "cool." How to praise with perfect timing. Technique: the knee-jerk "wow." Quick as a blink, you must praise people the moment they finish a feat. In a wink, like a knee-jerk reaction, say, "You were terrific." Don't worry that they won't believe you. The euphoria of the moment has a strangely numbing effect on the achiever's objective judgment. How to make M want to compliment you. Technique: boomeranging. Just as a boomerang flies right back to the thrower, let compliments boomerang right back to the giver. Like the French, quickly murmur something that expresses, "That's very kind of you." How to make a loved one feel you are TAT partner for life. Technique: the tombstone game. Ask the important people in your life what they would like engraved on their tombstone. Chisel it into your memory, but don't mention it again. Then, when the moment is right to say, "I appreciate you," or "I love you," fill the blanks with the very words they gave you weeks earlier. You take people's breath away when you feed their deepest self-image to them in a compliment. At last, they say to themselves, "Someone who loves me for who I truly am." We say to ourselves, "Maybe the world will little note nor long remember how brilliant, how wonderful, how witty, how creative or caring I am. However, those who truly know and love me, they will recognize my greatness, my magic, my specialness over all other ordinary mortals." When we find people with supernatural powers of perception to recognize our remarkableness, we become addicted to the heady drug of their appreciation. Telling him you admire him for the same reason he admires himself has an impact on Joe like no other compliment in the world. How to direct dial their hearts. Part 7. How to sound more exciting on the phone. Technique: talking gestures. Think of yourself as the star of a personal radio drama every time you pick up the phone. If you want to come across as engaging as you are, you must turn your smiles into sound, your nods into noise, and all your gestures into something your listener can hear. You must replace your gestures with talk. Then punch up the whole act 30%. How to sound close, even if you're hundreds of miles away. Technique: name shower. People perk up when they hear their name. Use it more often on the phone than you would in person to keep their attention. Your caller's name recreates the eye contact, the caress you might give in person. Saying someone's name repeatedly when face-to-face sounds pandering. But because there is the physical distance between you on the phone, sometimes you're a continent apart. You can spray your conversation with it. Part 7. How to sneak past the gatekeeper. Technique: the sneaky screen. If you must screen your calls, instruct your staff to first say cheerfully, "Oh yes, I'll put you right through. May I tell her who's calling?" If the party has already identified himself, it's "Oh, of course, Mr. Woozit. I'll put you right through." When the secretary comes back with the bad news that Mr. or Ms. Bigwig is unavailable, callers don't take it personally and never feel screened. They fall for it every time, just like I did. How to get what you want on the phone from big shots. Technique: salute the spouse. Whenever you are calling someone's home, always identify and greet the person who answers. Whenever you call someone's office more than once or twice, make friends with the secretary. Anybody close enough to answer the phone is close enough to sway the VIP's opinion of you. How to get what you want. By timing. Technique: what color is your time? No matter how urgent you think your call, always begin by asking the person about timing. Either use the "what color is your time?" device or simply ask, "Is this a convenient time for you to talk?" When you ask about timing first, you'll never smash your footprints right in the middle of your telephone partner's sands of time. You'll never get a no, just because your timing wasn't right. How to impress everyone with your outgoing voicemail message. Technique: constantly changing outgoing message. If you want to be perceived as conscientious and reliable, leave a short, professional, and friendly greeting as your outgoing message. No music. No jokes. No inspirational messages. No boasts, bells, or whistles. And here's the secret: change it every day. Your message doesn't have to be flawless. A little cough or stammer gives a lovely, unpretentious reality to your message. Part 7. How to get them to call you back. Technique: your 10-second addition. While dialing, clear your throat. If an answering machine picks up, pretend the beep is a big Broadway producer saying, "Next." Now you're on. This is your 10-second addition to prove you are worthy of a quick callback. How to make the gatekeeper think you're buddy-buddy with the VIP. Technique: the ho-hum caper. Instead of using your party's name, casually let the pronoun he or she roll off your tongue. Forget, "May I speak to Miss Big Shot, please?" Just announce, "Hi, Bob Smith here. Is she in?" Tossing the familiar she off your tongue signals to the secretary that you and her boss are old buddies. How to make them say you have super sensitivity. Technique: I hear your other line. When you hear a phone in the background, stop speaking in mid-sentence, if necessary, and say, "I hear your other lines." Or your dog is barking, your baby is crying, your spouse calling you. Ask whether she has to attend to it. Whether she does or not, she'll know you're a top communicator for asking. How to listen between the lines on the phone. Technique: instant replay. Record all your business conversations and listen to them again. The second or third time, you pick up significant subtleties you missed the first time. It's like football fans who often don't know if there was a fumble until they see it all over again in instant replay. How to work for a party like a politician works a room. Part 8. Ask who's coming. As the party giver chats casually about the guest list, politicians scribble the names of the people who interest them, then resolve to meet each. Biggies get there early to start hitting their marks as each arrives. VIPs frequently come early to get their business done before party regulars, who would hate to be the first one there, start arriving. Once they've accomplished what they set out to do, they're on their way to the next opportunity. Why does the party being given? Their knowledge also makes them valuable agents for the party giver. A savvy politician introduces the job-seeking daughter to some executives at the party or tells the most alluring women at the bash what a great guy's birthday boy is. When chatting with a reporter, he talks up the host's business that needs good PR. Using the business card dossier technique described later in this section, they decide how, when, and if to deal with each. Does this person require a phone call? Should that one receive a handwritten note? Shall I email or call the other one? How to avoid the most common party blooper. Technique, munching, or mingling. Politicians want to be eyeball to eyeball and belly to belly with their constituents. Like any big winner, well-versed in the science of proxemics and spatial relationships, they know any object except their belt buckle has the effect of a brick wall between two people. Therefore, they never hold food or drink at a party. Come to munch or come to mingle. But do not expect to do both. Like a good politician, chow down before you come. Politicians always eat before they come to the party. Part 8. How to make an unforgettable entrance. Technique. Rubberneck the room. When you arrive at the gathering, stop dramatically in the doorway. Then slowly surveys the situation. Let your eyes travel back and forth like a SWAT team ready in a heartbeat to wipe out anything that moves. It is significant that, while you're standing in the doorway, you're not thinking, "Look at me." The reason you're rubbernecking the room is not to show off. It is so you can diagnose the situation you're walking into. Take note of the lighting, the bar, and most importantly, the faces. Listen to the music, the buzz of the crowd, the clinking of glasses. How to meet the people you want to meet. Technique. Be the chooser, not the choose. The lifelong friend, the love of your life, or the business contact who will transform your future may not be at the party. However, someday, somewhere, he or she will be. Make every party a rehearsal for the big event. Do not stand around waiting for the moment when that special person approaches you. You make it happen by exploring every face in the room. No more ships passing in the night. Capture whatever or whomever you want in your life. How to subliminally lure people to you at a gathering. Technique. Come hither hands. Be a human magnet, not a human repellent. When standing at a gathering, arrange your body in an open position, especially your arms and hands. People instinctively gravitate toward open palms and wrists seductively arranged in the come hither position. They shy away from knuckles in the get lost or I'll punch you position. Use your wrists and palms to say, "I have nothing to hide. I accept you and what you're saying, or I find you sexy." Women instinctively turn their wrists and palms upward when a man excites them. Position yourself near a doorway, since everyone must pass your way at some point in the evening. Part 8. How to make M feel like a movie star. Technique. Tracking. Like an air traffic controller, track the tiniest details of your conversation partners' lives. Refer to them in your conversation like a major news story. It creates a powerful sense of intimacy. When you invoke the last major or minor event in anyone's life, it confirms the deep conviction that he or she is an old-style the hero around whom the world revolves. And people love you for recognizing their stardom. Politicians make a science out of tracking. They keep a little black box either on their desk, in their computer, or their brain of the last concern, enthusiasm, or event discussed with everyone in their life. They keep track of where the people were, what they said, and what they were doing since the last conversation. Then the first words of the next phone call or meeting with that person relate to that information. How to amaze them with what you remember about them. Technique. The business card dossier. Right after you've talked to someone at a party, take out your pen. On the back of his or her business card, write notes to remind you of the conversation. His favorite restaurant, sport, movie, or drink, whom she admires, where she grew up, a high school honor, or maybe a joke he told. In your next communication, tosses off a reference to the favorite restaurant, sport, movie, drink, hometown, high school honor. or reprieve the laugh over the great joke. How to make the sale with your eyeballs. Technique: eyeball selling. The human body is a 24-hour broadcasting station that transmits, "You thrill me. You bore me. I love that aspect of your product. That one puts my feet to sleep." Set the hidden cameras behind your eyeballs to pick up on all your customers' and friends' signals. Then plan your pitch and your pace accordingly. How to break the most treacherous glass ceiling of all, Part 9. How many times has one of your associates made a dumb, insensitive gaffe? How often have you written somebody off because of some stupid move? Do you think he knew what he was doing? Of course not. He had no idea he was crossing a line or stepping on your toes. Probably no one ever told him about the subtleties we're going to discuss in this final section of Hot to Talk to Anyone. How to win their affection by overlooking their bloopers. Technique: see no bloopers, hear no bloopers. Cool communicators allow their friends, associates, acquaintances, and loved ones the pleasurable myth of being above commonplace bloopers and embarrassing biological functions. They simply don't notice their comrades' minor spills, slips, fumbles, and faux pas. They ignore raspberries and all other signs of human frailty in their fellow mortals. Big winners never gape at another's gaffes. People hate to be reminded of the moments when they're not shining. How to win their heart when their tongue is faltering. Technique: lend a helping tongue. Whenever someone's story is aborted, let the interruption play itself out. Give everybody time to dote on the little darling, give their dinner order, or pick up the jagged pieces of china. Then, when the group reassembles, simply say to the person who suffered story interrupts, "Now please get back to your story." Or better yet, remember where they were and then ask, "So what happened after the?" and fill in the last few words. How to let M know what's in it for them. Technique: bear the buried WIIFM and LVIIFY. Whenever you suggest a meeting or ask a favor, divulge the respective benefits. Reveal what's in it for you and what's in it for the other person, even if it's zip. If any hidden agenda comes up later, you get labeled a sly fox. Part 9. How to make them want to do favors for you. Technique: let M savor the favor. Whenever a friend agrees to a favor, allow your generous buddy time to relish the joy of his or her beneficence before you make them pay the piper. How long? At least 24 hours. How to ask for favors and get them. Technique: tit for wait. Wait for a tat. When you do someone a favor and it's obvious that he owes you one, wait a suitable amount of time before asking him to pay. Let him enjoy the fact, or fiction, that you did it out of friendship. Don't call in your tit for their tattoo swiftly. How to know what not to say at parties. Technique: parties are for prater. There are 3 sacred safe havens in the human jungle where even the toughest tiger knows he must no attack. The first of these is parties. Parties are for pleasantries and good fellowship, not for confrontations. Big players, even when standing next to their enemies at the buffet table, smile and nod. They leave tough talk for the tougher settings. How to know what not to say at dinner. Technique: dinners for dining. The most guarded haven respected by big winners is the dining table. Breaking bread together is a time when they bring up no unpleasant matters. While eating, they know it's okay to brainstorm and discuss the positive side of the business. Their dreams, their desires, their designs. They can free associate and come up with new ideas. But no tough business. Only after they have played out this crucial charade can they discuss business. But no dirty business. The biggies can brainstorm over coffee. They can discuss proposals over dessert. They can toss around new ideas over cordials. They can explore the positive side of the merger, the acquisition, or the partnership while waiting for the check. Part 9. How to know what not to say in a chance meeting. Technique: chance encounters are for chit-chat. If you're selling, negotiating, or in any sensitive communication with someone, do not capitalize on a chance meeting. Keep the melody of your mistaken meeting sweet and light. Otherwise, it could turn into your swan song with big winner. How to prepare them to listen to you. Technique: empty their tanks. If you need information, let people have their entire say first. Wait patiently until their needle is on empty and the last drop drips out and splashes on the cement. It's the only way to be sure their tank is empty enough of their inner noise to start receiving your ideas. How to turn their anger around in 3 sentences or less. Technique: echo the emo. Facts speak. Emotions shout. Whenever you need facts from people about an emotional situation, let them emote. Hear their facts but empathize like mad with their emotions. Smearing on the emo is often the only way to calm their emotional storm. How to make M like you, even when you've messed up. Technique: my goof, your gain. Whenever you make a boner, make sure your victim benefits. It's not enough to correct your mistake. Ask yourself, what could I do for the suffering soul so he or she will be delighted I made the flub? Then do it fast. In that way, your goof will become your gain. Part 9. How to trap a rat with class. Technique: leave an escape hatch. Whenever you catch someone lying, filching, exaggerating, distorting, or deceiving, don't confront the dirty duck directly. Unless it is your responsibility to catch or correct the culprit, or unless you are saving other innocent victims by doing so, let the transgressor out of your trap with his tricky puss in one piece. Then resolve never to gaze upon it again. Why do big winners let bad news people get away with bummers? By closing your mouth, and then the door forever, you are saying, you are so beneath me, I'm not going to even waste my words on you. How to get whatever you want from service personnel. Technique: buttercups for their boss. Do you have a store clerk, accountant, law firm junior partner, tailor, auto mechanic, maitre d', massage therapist, kids teacher, or any other worker you want special attention from in the future? The surefire way to make them care enough to give you their very best is to send a buttercup to their boss. How to be a leader in a crowd, not a follower. Technique: lead the listeners. No matter how prominent the big cat behind the podium is, crouched inside is a little scaredy cat who is anxious about the crowd's acceptance. Big winners recognize you're a fellow big winner when they see you leading their listeners in a positive reaction. Be the first to applaud or publicly commend the man or woman you agree with or want favors from. How to make all the right moves. Technique: the great scorecard in the sky. Any 2 people have an invisible scorecard hovering above their heads. The numbers continually fluctuate, but one rule remains. Players with lower score pays deference to the player with higher score. The penalty for not keeping your eye on the great scorecard in the sky is to be thrown out of the game. Permanently. Big winners, before putting pen to paper, fingers to keyboard, mouth to phone, or hand to someone else's to shake it, do a quick calculation. They ask themselves, who has the most to benefit from this relationship? What has each of us done recently that demand deference from the other? And what can I do to even the score?
This was released from For the Sake of Education by Flow Wisdom. If the content was helpful, make sure to subscribe.